6 in the morning, and the marble beneath your feet on the Acropolis is already warm. Athens is waking up below, a sprawl of white and terracotta stretching toward a coastline most visitors never reach. Here's the thing. Almost everyone treats this city as a 2-day stopover before the islands. A quick look at the Parthenon, a souvlaki in Plaka, and they're on a ferry. But what if that's a mistake? Athens is a city layered on itself, 3,000 years of civilization stacked in a basin between mountains and sea. Roman arches lean against Ottoman walls. Brutalist apartment blocks crowd around Byzantine churches. And beyond the archaeological core, there are neighbourhoods with their own rhythms, a coastline with turquoise water, and a food scene that's been quietly reinventing itself for the past decade. So here's what I wanted to find out. Does Athens actually reward you if you give it more than the standard 2-day sprint?
By the time we reach the Temple of Poseidon at sunset, I think the answer will be obvious. But let's earn it. Start where everyone starts, the Acropolis, because the reason everyone starts here is that it genuinely earns the hype. But timing matters enormously. The site opens at 8 in the morning from April through October, and that first hour is transformative. By 10, the tour buses have arrived, and the sacred rock becomes a shuffling queue. Get there at opening, enter through the main gate on the south slope, and you'll have 20 minutes where the Parthenon feels almost private. Tickets are €20, or you can buy the €30 combo ticket that covers 6 additional archaeological sites around the city. It's valid for 5 days and saves you serious money if you visit even 2 of them. The Erechtheion, with its caryatid columns, the sweeping views south to the Temple of Olympian Zeus, it's extraordinary, obviously. But what strikes you standing up here isn't just the ruins themselves, it's seeing the city arrange itself around them, ancient and modern jostling for every square metre below. Walk down the north slope of the Acropolis hill and you'll stumble into something that doesn't quite make sense. Anafiotika is a tiny cluster of about 40 whitewashed houses clinging to the rock face, with blue doors and bougainvillea spilling over low walls. It looks like a Cycladic island village transplanted into the middle of a capital city, because that's essentially what it is. Workers from the island of Anafi came here in the 1840s to build King Otto's palace, and they recreated their island home on this hillside. No cars can reach it, the lanes are barely wider than your shoulders, cats outnumber people at a comfortable margin. It takes 15 minutes to wander through, but at this hour the only sound is birdsong and someone's morning radio drifting through a shuttered window.
Anafiotika suggests something about Athens. The city has these pockets, these small worlds folded inside the larger one if you slow down enough to find them. Below Anafiotika, you're in Plaka, the oldest continuously inhabited neighbourhood in Athens. Yes, parts of it cater to tourists. The main drag of Adrianou Street sells magnets and olive oil soap by the kilo. But step 1 block off that street and the character shifts completely. Kidathenon Street has family-run tavernas that have been serving the same recipes for decades. For breakfast, look for bougatsa, a flaky pastry filled with warm semolina cream at one of the bakeries near Philomousou Square. It'll cost you about €2 and recalibrate your morning. Plaka also holds the monument of Lycabettus, a Choragic monument from 334 BC, just standing there on a pedestrian street between a cafe and a gift shop, which is such a perfectly Athenian thing, 3,000 years of history casually woven into the fabric of a regular Tuesday.
A 15-minute walk north through Monastiraki brings you to the Varvakeios Agora, Athens' central market, and it's a different city entirely. The meat hall is not for the squeamish. Whole lamb carcasses hang in rows, butchers calling out to passers-by with theatrical confidence. The fish hall next door is at its peak around dawn, but even by mid-morning the variety is staggering. Octopus, red mullet, swordfish steaks, everything still gleaming under fluorescent lights. Across the street, the fruit and vegetable side is calmer, fragrant, stacked with tomatoes that actually taste like something. For lunch, the small, no-frills restaurants tucked into the market serve bowls of patsas, a tripe soup that locals swear can cure anything for €5 or €6. It's not glamorous. It's deeply, unapologetically real. And 3 stops into this trip, I'm starting to think the people rushing to catch ferries are missing the point entirely.
Double back toward Monastiraki Square and the flea market sprawls along Efestu Street and into the surrounding alleys. On Sundays, it expands dramatically. Vintage furniture, boxes of old vinyl records, military surplus, Byzantine icon reproductions, brass compasses, and plenty of things you didn't know existed, let alone needed. Weekdays are more manageable, but still lively. Avisnia Square, right in the heart of it, has a handful of cafes with outdoor seating where you can sit with a Greek coffee, thick, strong, served with a glass of cold water, and watch the organised chaos. It works well with kids. There's enough oddity and colour to hold anyone's attention, and the small antique shops function like museums you're allowed to touch and haggle over. From Monastiraki, the metro runs 2 stops north to Victoria Station, and a short walk east brings you to the National Archaeological Museum.
This is one of the great museums of the world, and somehow it draws a fraction of the crowds you'd expect. The mask of Agamemnon is here, that haunting gold funerary mask from a Mycenaean shaft grave. The Antikythera mechanism is here, a 2,000-year-old analogue computer pulled from a shipwreck that scientists are still trying to fully understand. The towering bronze of Poseidon, captured mid-throw, arm extended, is here. Allow 2 hours minimum, 3 if ancient civilization genuinely pulls you in. Admission is €12. You turn a corner and find a fresco from Thera, preserved under volcanic ash for 36 centuries, the colours still vivid as morning, blues and saffrons that look freshly painted. This museum alone would justify a trip to Athens, and most people walk past it on the way to the port. Step outside and you're on the edge of Exarchia, Athens' most countercultural neighbourhood.
This is the student district. Anarchist graffiti covers practically every surface. Independent bookshops line Stornari Street, and the cafe culture is excellent and cheap. Lunch at one of the small mezzodopolia around Exarchia Square runs €8 to €12 for a generous spread of small plates. Fava dip with capers and raw onion, grilled halloumi, kolakito keftedes, crispy zucchini fritters bright with fresh mint. The energy here is completely different from Plaka. Younger, louder, politically charged. Some guidebooks warn tourists away, which is overblown for daytime visits. Exarchia is a neighbourhood where people actually live and argue and create things, and that contrast between ancient carved stone and fresh spray paint is part of what makes Athens feel so restlessly alive. From Exarchia, it's a 20-minute walk east through Kolonaki to the base of Mount Lycabettus, the highest point in central Athens at 277 metres. A funicular runs to the summit for €7 round trip, but the walking path through fragrant pine trees takes about 30 minutes and earns you the view properly. And the view is outrageous. The Acropolis sits below like a scale model. The Saronic Gulf glitters beyond the port of Piraeus. On clear days, you can trace the mountains of the Peloponnese along the western horizon. Come in late afternoon, and the light turns the entire basin golden. There's a cafe at the top, a small whitewashed chapel dedicated to St. George, and usually a quiet crowd just sitting there, watching. Halfway through this trip, and I've lost count of the times Athens has caught me off guard. The question I came here with is already starting to answer itself. The next morning, take the tram or a short taxi ride south to the Stavros Niarchos Cultural Center, designed by Renzo Piano and opened in 2016. This is the new Athens, sleek, sustainable, unapologetically forward-looking.
The building houses the National Library and the Greek National Opera, but even if you skip both, the surrounding park earns the trip. 17 hectares of Mediterranean landscaping, a running track, a canal where children sail model boats on weekend mornings, an enormous playground, and sloping lawns with views stretching to the sea. Entry to the park and grounds is free. It's where Athenian families actually spend their Saturdays, and the contrast with the ancient centre couldn't be sharper. Athens isn't just curating its past, it's actively building something that feels like the future. Continue south along the coast, and within 30 minutes you reach Vouliagmeni, where the Athens Riviera begins, a stretch of coastline that most first-time visitors never discover. Lake Vouliagmeni is a thermal mineral lake fed by underground springs, with water holding at around 24 degrees Celsius year-round. Entry is €15, which includes a sunbed and access to the lake's peculiar, silky smooth water. Tiny fish nibble harmlessly at your feet, a natural spa that's been operating for thousands of years, free of charge from the fish's perspective. Beyond the lake, the coast opens into proper beaches. Astir Beach is polished and comes at a premium, but Kavouri Beach is public, family-friendly, and has that transparent Aegean water people only associate with the islands. Standing here with sand between my toes, 25 minutes from the Parthenon by car, I'm genuinely wondering why anyone rushes to leave this city. The final stop earns its place at the end of this journey. Cape Sounion sits about 70 kilometres southeast of Athens, roughly an hour's drive along a coast road that hugs dramatic cliffs over open water, every curve revealing another shade of blue. At the tip of the Attic Peninsula, perched on a headland 60 metres above the sea, stands the Temple of Poseidon. It dates to around 440 BC, the same era as the Parthenon, and 16 of its original Doric columns still stand against the sky. Come in the last 2 hours before sunset. Admission is €10. As the light drops, the marble shifts from white to amber to pale rose against a darkening Aegean. Lord Byron carved his name into one of the columns in 1810. People have been making this pilgrimage for a very long time. Stand at the edge of the promontory, watch the sun dissolve into the Saronic Gulf, and try to make the case that Athens only deserved 2 days of your time. So here's the answer, and it isn't close. Athens is not a stopover. It's a destination that rewards every extra day you give it. From that first quiet hour on the Acropolis to this last sunset at Sounion. A city where you can walk from a Neolithic artifact to a street art mural to a thermal mineral lake in a single afternoon. Where the food is honest and affordable, the history is staggering in its density, and the coastline catches you completely off guard. Give it 4 days, give it 5. The islands will wait. Like if this was interesting, hit the subscribe for more and turn that notification bell on.